Afro-historian. So when we come across discussions about past African heroes, names that comes up are the likes of Nelson Mandela of South Africa, Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Albert Macaulay, Chief Obafemi Awolowo of Nigeria, and many other prominent names we are most familiar with. No doubt these individuals made their marks and fought relentlessly to liberate Africa, but they were never alone in their fights. We did our research and came up with 5 older African names or heroes that impacted the world through their initiatives, but sadly they are rarely talked about. And amongst our heroes are Wangari MAATHAI, Chinua ACHEBE, Kofi ANNAN, Desmond TUTU, and Helen Johnson SIRLEAF, whom I called the true Mama Africa, and luckily you get to find out why. The first on our list is Wangari MAATHAI. Wangari MAATHAI, born 1st April 1940, died 25th September 2011. Wangari MAATHAI was a prominent Kenyan activist and the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize and several other awards for her consistent struggle for democracy, women's rights, and environmental restoration. She was an elected member of the parliament and served as Assistant Minister for Environment and Natural Resources in the government of President Mwai Kibaki of Kenya. Her NGO, the Green Belt Movement, which she established in 1977, has grown over 45 million trees in Kenya to filter air pollution and help remove greenhouse gases from the air for a better living of every Kenyan. In her struggle for women's liberation, she once said, and I quote, "African women in general need to know that it's okay for them to be the way they are, to see the way they are as strengths, and to be liberated from fear and silence." And second on our list is Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe, born 16th November 1930, died 21st March 2013. Chinua Achebe was a Nigerian novelist, poet, and professor who served in various universities in the United States of America from 1990 till his demise in 2013, where he lectured extensively on African literature. Chinua Achebe's masterpiece and first novel, Things Fall Apart, written in 1958, is centered on colonial influence in pre-colonial southeastern part of Nigeria. In this novel, he portrays the African man's tradition and ways before the inception of colonial practices in the region. Chinua Achebe's novel portrays a true African man's strength and ingenuity. Funny enough, Chinua Achebe was a scholar admitted to then University College to study medicine. However, during his studies, he became critical of the belittling portrayal of an African man in European literature and their ignorance of African culture. So he abandoned medicine and changed to English, history, and theology, path which he took to straighten the wrong narratives, then led him to be a forefront in modern African literature. And third on our list is Kofi Annan. Kofi Annan, born 8 April 1938, died 18 August 2018. Kofi Annan was a Ghanaian diplomat and activist who served as the 7th Secretary General of the United Nations from 1997 till 2006, where his diligent works as the Secretary General earned him the Nobel Peace Prize in 2001. While serving as Secretary General, he redefined the UN bureaucracy, worked tactically to combat HIV/AIDS mostly in Africa, and encouraged business worldwide to adopt sustainable and socially responsible principles of human rights, labor, and equity through the UN Global Compact. In 1996, Annan was actively involved in the transition from military to civil rule in Nigeria, which was Nigeria's fourth republic after several military coup d'etats in the region. A year later, he supported East Timor in a struggle for independence from Indonesia. Annan led several peacekeeping meetings and reminded the world of the need for peace to persist above all national interests. Fourth on our list is Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu, born 7th October 1931. Desmond Tutu is a South African cleric and activist. He was the Bishop of Johannesburg from 1985 to 1986, then proceeded to become the Archbishop of Cape Town, being the first African to assume this position despite the high level of racial discrimination in the country in the 90s. Tutu emerges as one of South Africa's most outstanding anti-apartheid activists, but despite his desire for the barbaric racial desegregation to cease, he extensively stressed the need for peace to persist and recommended economic pressure to tackle the National Party of South Africa to bring forth universal suffrage in the region. After the end of apartheid in 1990 by Frederick William de Klerk's led government, Tutu assisted in resolving anti- and pro-apartheid conflicts, and he was appointed to head the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to investigate past human rights violations. Tutu was widely known and praised for his stance and activism, which earned him a Nobel Peace Prize, amongst others. And lastly is the true Mama Africa, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, born 29 October 1938. Ellen Sirleaf is a Liberian politician and activist who served as the 24th President of Liberia from 2006 to 2018, being the first female head of state in Liberia and Africa in general. Ellen, alongside Wangari and other prominent female figures, championed an organization called Women of Liberia Mass Action for Peace to peacefully coerce the then President Charles Taylor of Liberia to attend peacekeeping talks in Ghana, which contributed in ending the Second Liberian Civil War in August 2003. Ellen has proven to the world that gender is not a barrier or limitation in pursuit of goals. She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2011 and several other awards to acknowledge her efforts to bring women into important affairs of our country and beyond. It's the brilliant ideas, persistence, and hard work that led every of our heroes, and they are forever in our hearts. Hope you enjoyed this video. Keep in touch with us. Like us on Facebook at AfroHistorian, tweet at us at _AfroHistorian, follow us on Instagram at AfroHistorian. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and leave a comment. Thank you.